Start joining. Have you pressed live on the Instagram? Oh, yeah, fair. Is this mic on? Are you picking it up? Yeah, sweet. Yeah, yep. Beautiful. All the lights and shit working. Just tell me when it's live, and then tell me when people start joining. Live now? Yeah, sweet. Just tell me when the first person joins, and then... Alright. Good to go. People in? Yeah, sweet. Got another live today on YouTube as well. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you go subscribe. Going to record some content after this to go onto YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed over there and you're looking out for that sort of stuff. Today I was sort of taking a different approach. I'm just going to do a bit more structure, and then at the end I will have a look through questions. So just wait till the end. Well, you can probably pop a few questions in there, but just wait till the end and you'll probably get more chance of getting responded to. But what over the weekend, all the finals were sorted out for Howard Matthews, SG Ball, Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gale, all that sort of stuff. So we've got a recap of all that, and then I'll just do a quick little preview of the guys that are debuting, and then I'll do a preview as well for New South Wales Cup. And then after that, I'll answer some of the questions that you guys left on my story this morning. And then I'll answer some of the questions from the live. Started off, Howard Matthews on Good Friday. I was at the games there for Eels v Magpies. I did miss the Rabbitohs Raiders games that were on that day in SG Ball, I believe it was. But yeah, for the Eels Magpies, two absolutely cracking games. We had the Howard Matthews, which was first v second. They dropped down to second v third because they had to share the points. But that was an absolutely cracking game, fast-paced from start to finish. And some of the guys in there just showed their class, proved their class, stuff that I'd already covered. I think those guys, Eels, Magpies, Bulldogs, they're the clear top three. I think Roosters go all right as well, but these teams are definitely the ones to beat. And from what I've seen in Eels v Magpies, those two, that could be a grand final prelude. Larima Rokasuka, he had an absolutely unbelievable game. His yardage carries were really good. He scored an unreal try off a quick tap, went straight through from about 40 out, scored in the corner, showed immense skill, strength and speed in that one. And he was really the standout of that game. Across to the other side, the Magpies, Hiamasi Makasini was good when he touched the ball again. The spine, as usual. Alex Isdale was very good again. I've touched on him a couple of times before. The way I was talking to a couple of people at the ground, and he sort of reminds you a little bit of a Jerome Luai, like his agility and how he attacks the line, that sort of dancing. So yeah, he was super. And then a couple of forwards too. Christian Tapau-Moores, he was super for the Magpies. I touched on him last live stream. He could be really good for them and really important coming into the finals. But that game was a super game. 16-all draw, got decided by Lincoln Fletcher. Had a kick from 40 metres out, about 10 in from touch, and he's hit the upright. So that was a very good finish. And then you got Rabbitohs beat the Raiders the next day on the Saturday. Knights took care of the Tigers, but Knights did miss the finals. So did both the Rabbitohs and the Raiders, but they weren't really a chance coming into that game. There is one more game for Howard Matthews. That's this weekend, Storm versus Central Coast Roosters. That was a postponed game from round 8. But both of those teams are out. Storm, thanks to losing to the Bulldogs in a late thriller. And then CC Roosters, they shared the points with Manly in another game that I watched. Really sloppy game. And both teams had plenty of opportunities to win it and give themselves a real shot at making the finals, but not to be for them sharing the points. Cruz Death, Death, he was quite good. And Charleston Torora I gave man of the match for in that game. He was super. There's a couple other standout performances from that game. Bo Alexander, Max Davies, the halves from Manly, they were quite good. Isaac Fotumawala was also really good for the Roosters. And then I'll hop across to SG Ball. And that Hills Magpies game, that was another absolute thriller. And that followed the Rabbitohs beating the Raiders 40-18 earlier in the day. But that Eels Magpies game from start to finish was really physical. It was a little bit sloppy at times. There were errors. Both teams sort of faltered a little bit. But when it came time to step up, some of their key players did. It was back and forth for the final 20 minutes. Lorenzo Talataina and Heath Mason trading blows. So that was really entertaining stuff. And a couple of those guys, because Magpies, it was an elimination game, so Magpies are out. And you'll see some of those guys hitting out at Jersey Flag. Luke Lau-Lily has got the one jersey in Jersey Flag, so make sure you go and watch that. But yeah, Dylan Bredel, Lorenzo Talataina, they were both super in that finish. Lorenzo obviously coming up with the match-winning play, stepping through the middle, and then finding Dylan in support for a classic finish. The Knights did what they had to do. They dispatched the Balmain Tigers 50-10. They're going to be one of those sides that had a mad voice crack then. They're going to be one of the top sides. They get the Steelers, though, and that will be a cracking game. But I do have a finals preview coming next week, so not doing one tonight. But next week I will do a finals preview. And yeah, so that SG Ball Cup's finalists, Roosters 9 from 9. They were the clear top dogs. Dragons, Knights, Bulldogs, Eels, Steelers rounded it out. Bulldogs Storm. Bulldogs did what they had to do as well, 40-6. As I just mentioned, they ended up finishing 4th. Steelers, again, 38-12. Panthers v Seagulls. That was a good finish to the season for Panthers, but one that was slightly disappointing. They've ended up finishing 7th, so pipping the Magpies. But yeah, it should have been a lot better season for them. They had some really competitive games. They shared the points with the Bulldogs. They've had some really tight finishes that they probably should have won. But that was a great finish to the season for them. Roosters Sharks. Roosters won 28-20. Sharks were playing for a spot in the finals, but yeah, they ended up getting beat by a really, really strong Roosters outfit. And then the Dragons secured an extra week off because we got the week off this weekend. And then the first and second side will get an extra week off. I don't know if that actually plays into their favour. 2 weeks off rugby league's not always a great thing, but yeah, Dragons secured that for themselves with a 36-point win over the Warriors. Now, just do a quick little preview for this weekend. New South Wales Cup, Knights and Dragons. Knights, last week they took on the Warriors, 26-12. They lost. They scored early, scored late, but they just weren't really in the game. And they obviously lose Jackson Hastings this weekend because he's been promoted back into the top side. Fletcher Sharp is back. He hasn't played the last couple of weeks. They've got a strong side. The Knights, the Dragons, they dispatched of the Seagulls. Christian Tuipulotu, he scored 4 tries in that game. He was really good. Their forward pack, Alec Tuitavaki, superstar. The Couchman boys, although Ryan's not playing. And then you got like Ben Murdoch Masilla off the bench. Like their forward rotation is really good. Dylan Egan, he's going to be really good if he gets a shot this year. Viliami Fafita, we've already seen him in the top flight. But for the Knights, it was Elijah Celeste Leomoana who really stood out to me. He was quite good, especially early. Will Price, he's been super this year. I think he does deserve a call up, not straight away, but he will eventually crack that NRL side, whether it be through injury or through droppings. But yeah, this game's going to be a good game. If the Knights forward pack can keep up, I think they have too much star power. But yeah, that'll be a cracking game. That's on the Friday night at McDonald Jones. Unfortunately, not being streamed anywhere, which shits me to no end. But what can you do about it? Rabbitohs Warriors, a whole heap of ins for the Rabbitohs. Obviously, Jai Gray at fullback, who's just been killing it this year. And then Dion Tuapa, who's really good. Lockie Ilias has been good in his return. Probably might see himself back into that Rabbitoh side if they do continue to struggle. The Ilias-Gray combination has been really good. And you got the 35-year-old Yelene Gordon still battling around. He's starting this weekend against against a really good starting forward pack of Zion Maiu and Tanner Stowers-Smith. Jacob Labani's been really good this year as well. And Jacob Aloa, or JD Aloa, he's been unreal this year for SG Ball. He got the call up to the Warriors New South Wales Cup side last week and really shone in his 20 minutes that he got at the end. So keen to see more of him. That one will be on KO and Foxtel, whatever you get your games off. That's 12:40 on Saturday. Bulldogs Roosters. Bulldogs have been a little bit up and down, but they've got a really star-studded squad. Joash Papali'i's been good. Bronson Cherry's been really good. A couple of defensive lapses, but I'd like to see him continue to sort of play well and work his way up to the first grade. Bailey Haywood playing 13, which is interesting. Usually sort of a half. Siwa Wong playing 13 as well against him, so that's sort of two completely different players in those 13 jerseys, but that'll be an interesting matchup. And they've swapped around Benaya Iolu and Tyler Moriarty, who have both been really solid in that 9 jersey, 9 and 14, and in their stints. So I'm keen to see how Benaya goes starting and how Tyler comes off the bench and see how he goes. Seagulls, Panthers. I've covered a fair bit of the Panthers. They got a really good side. And Manly, Jamie Humphries playing 6. It's just sort of might be a sign that they're moving away from him being a 14 and maybe more of a long-term replacement, especially after the trials where he did kill it at 6, and he has been going quite good at 6 here. Josh Schuster back into that lock position. And then against Luke Summerton, another interesting decision at lock. I guess he's a guy that sort of has to be in that starting side, and so does Sonny Luke, so just having them both in the middle, and, you know, Sonny Luke's probably a bit more of an electric 9, whereas Luke Summerton, that's going to get me stumbling on my words a little bit, Sonny Luke, Luke Summerton. But yeah, though, that sort of dynamic between those two will be interesting. Bears Magpies. Magpies got their first win on the weekend. I'm still not entirely convinced by it. But yeah, they've got a talented side. Heath Mason comes back in, who killed it in SG Ball last week. I didn't think he deserved to be there, but I guess they were putting all their chips in to try and get through to the finals, so I understand it from that perspective. Keegan Russell-Smith been really good at the 7 jersey for the Bears. Nelson Asafa Solomona lines up there again, which will be interesting to watch. And then the final game, Raiders-Eels, had a little bit to say about Parramatta. They've got some good signs from individual players, but they are struggling to compete in games, and that's mainly due to the defence and some defensive lapses. Sam Loizu and Morgan Harper come back into this side. Sam now playing on the wing instead of the centres. Zach Sini lines up with Morgan Harper in the centres, and Jake Tungo, who's been really good in the couple of games that I've seen, is playing on the wing. But that Raiders side, unbelievable from 1 to 17. They've had some super performances, so I'd expect them to get over the top. Brendan Hands, Matt Arthur, they've swapped now, so Brendan Hands starting at 9 rather than starting at 6, how he usually was. And Matt Arthur been demoted to the bench, with Saxon Pryke making his debut, which will be exciting to see. I thought he was too good for Flegg, but yeah, I'll be keen to see how they go. As I just duck over now, I'll just answer a couple of the questions that came up. Did get one. And Latu Fainu and Ben Takora, they make their debuts this weekend. Ben Takora, Man Mountain. I'll be interested to see how he goes, because these props usually take a little bit longer to develop. But that'll be interesting to see how he goes. And Latu Fainu, he's been a star for a long time. Finally gets his chance. He's 14. Good thing to note is that Bud Sullivan got no minutes in that 14 role last weekend. But I think that might be more of an indication of what Benji sort of thinks of Bud than what Latu's role will be this weekend. Even if he does come on just in a sort of middle role, like a bit of a Dylan Walker, but because he does have that ability, he's really strong and crafty with the ball. So interested to see what sort of role he gets off the bench. I do think he'll develop into a halfback long term, but he is quite crafty, so be interesting to see. I got one from Tyrone, a question here. Predictions for Harold Matthews and SG Ball Player of the Series. I did sort of touch on this one last weekend, but without a proper sort of answer. I think Harold Matthews, you're probably looking at a Matt Barakat for the Bulldogs. He's been really good. And a couple of the other guys off the top team, Sam Polly, Alex Isdale, Masi Makasini, they'll be in it. But I'd probably have to say Matthew Barakat for the fact that he led a side to 8 wins, 1 draw out of 9 games and was the star for them at 7. And then for SG Ball, it's a little bit of a tougher one, but you nearly go the other Bulldogs 7 in Mitchell Woods. Or you'd probably go to one of the Steelers boys. But like in King Togiel, he was super for the first half, but he hasn't sort of played recently. And then you've got from the other top sides, like the Roosters, Dila Saliva'a and Blake Steep. And then who do you think will take it out in each junior grade? Lisa Fiola, Tasha Gower, Mats and SG. I think in Lisa Fiola, the Dogs will be too good. They've just dominated every team that they've seen. The Steelers, I think we'll meet them in the grand final. And that's the first and second side, but those two have been completely dominant. So that'll be interesting to see for the Lisa Fiola Dogs. Naslin, Waka Rind, one to watch. And then for the Steelers, they've been super this year. And then in Tasha Gale, Steelers and Roosters are the top two. Steelers did a pretty handy job putting away the Roosters, but I do think come finals time, Roosters will be too stacked. So that's that for those questions. And I'll just have a look now. I'll just have a look if you send some of your questions through. I'll see if I can answer a couple. Here, so I'm a little bit behind on this, so I'll just give a second. A little bit filthy because I haven't get to see all the shit talk. How much of that has there been? Plenty? Yeah, usual. Yeah, the usual. Actually, be interesting to see. Jersey Flag. I need to get to a couple of those games because, I'll get to that question in a second. I need to get out to a couple of Jersey Flag games. I've missed heaps of them because they're only streaming 1 game a week, which you guys know my thoughts on that. So, Jacob Halangahu from Dragons and SG Ball, he's been a superstar this year. Really, really good. In the back row, real solid work rate, but just physical. And he does come up with some super plays. Like his game against the Steelers, I thought he was nearly best on ground in that. So that would be good to see how he sort of progresses and how he goes in the finals. They do get an extra week break, so how he comes back will be interesting. All right, I might end that stream here. I've been a bit crook, so I think the audio might have been a little bit stuff, but you know how it is. Streaming some content for YouTube. Make sure you go follow the short ball. And yeah, that content will be coming soon, but filming it right after this. Ryan, if you want to end that for me. And thanks to everyone who came on. Really appreciate it every Wednesday. So make sure you come back next weekend and make sure you follow the YouTube. Thank you.